This was an action taken by the Commerce Department, right?
Correct.
So why are you talking about it?
Commerce Department doesn't have a podium, I think.
Well, they have email. Don't
They do, but
they
you
have,
know,
they put out.
I try to be responsive here at the podium. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I have a question about the Al-Shifa hospital. We talked about the host of weapons, but in the images that the IDF shared yesterday, we're seeing rifles that are in number less than 10, say a couple Qurans, discs, a laptop. Did you really look at the images and say that this is a proper headquarters, or are you hoping to see more?
Again, I didn't know that there was a sort of acceptable threshold level of rifles to be held in hospitals. I mean, I'll just say, look, I'm from Texas. Even in Texas, we don't keep assault rifles in hospitals. It is true. It is true. I looked at that. That's not. I'm surprised when I hear people saying, "Oh, there were only 10 rifles in this room." It's a hospital. It's a hospital. There shouldn't be any assault rifles. Hold on. There shouldn't be any assault rifles at a hospital. The second thing I would say is Israel continues to conduct its operations to clear all of the buildings in that hospital. And number three, we stand by the assessment that we made the other day.
One thing, I'm sure you've been in the Middle East. I worked in the Middle East, like in courtrooms, I know shops, hospitals. There's weapons everywhere. So, what the intelligence was that it's a proper terrorist organization network headquarters. So the pictures are showing like a couple Qurans, a disc, a laptop, and 7-8 rifles. That's why we're making that assessment. Not that as a threshold.
It is an ongoing operation. I think people should wait till the operation is concluded to draw. Hold on, no, just let me finish to draw their final conclusions. But again, I'm given all the evidence. Look, I fully expect people to stand here and challenge the things that we say as the United States government, challenge the things that I say from this podium. I am surprised that people do not, I'm surprised that people have ignored the weight of public evidence over years and years of Hamas using civilian infrastructure as human shields. You can read multiple articles, forget the United States government, forget what the intelligence assessments that we make, forget what the Israeli government says. You can read articles by multiple respected news organizations around the world whose reporters, Saeed, I will send you, I've read article, there's an article I read, so Saeed, again, can we go back to the not interrupting each other rule? Because I try to behave by that. There's an article in the New York Times about at the end of a previous conflict when they went through a mosque in Gaza and found headquarters of Hamas being based in that mosque and firing on soldiers from the mosque. There are multiple well-documented reports in international news organizations going back years. So again, fully respect everyone's right to challenge us, and we will back up the claims we make with evidence. But the idea that Hamas uses civilian infrastructure as human shields is not one I think that is really contested. Go ahead. Go ahead. What's that?
You just said you back up claims with evidence. In this particular case, you're not going to.
We make our, again, oftentimes it's difficult with us with intelligence matters, but like as I said, it's an ongoing Israeli operation. Go ahead.
Thank you. Different subject matter. Bangladesh government announced the election day for the parliamentary election on January 7, ignoring the protest from the opposition parties and the U.S. calls for a political consensus. So, and obviously all political parties rejected it, and the crackdown is going on. So what is your position to hold a free, fair, and credible election and make the government accountable?
So we have been consistent in our message regarding the upcoming elections, and that message remains the same now that the polling day has been announced. We want what the Bangladeshi people themselves want, free and fair elections which are conducted in a peaceful manner. We do not support one political party in Bangladesh. We don't favor one political party over the other. We urge all parties to exercise restraint, avoid violence, and work together to create the conditions for free and fair elections conducted in a peaceful manner.
One more. Ambassador Peter Haas continues to receive death threats from the ruling party members. From central to grassroots level, ruling party Awami League leaders are speaking in the same tone, wanting to slaughter the ambassador. And the ambassador himself yesterday expressed his deep concern for his security and the embassy personal security. Does the Secretary General taking this threat seriously and the violent rhetoric?
So the safety and security of our diplomats overseas is, of course, our top priority. We take any threats against them very seriously. Violence or threats of violence directed at our diplomatic personnel is unacceptable. We have repeatedly raised our concerns about the threatening rhetoric directed at Ambassador Haas with the Bangladeshi government. Would remind them that they have an obligation under the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations to ensure the safety and security of U.S. diplomatic missions and personnel, and we expect them to act on those obligations. Go ahead.
Just to follow up on the Hamas using Palestinians as a human shield, there are also articles like this article that I just found on Reuters, dated 2013, that Palestinian children are also tortured and used as shield by Israel. So it goes both ways. So my question is, do you have any information about reports by doctors in Gaza of the use of white phosphorus in Gaza and in Lebanon lately?
I don't. Go ahead.
Thank you. Different topic. So the day before yesterday, John Sopko testified at Congress, and he said clearly that the Taliban in Afghanistan are getting the U.S. aids that's supposed to be for the Afghan people. And he said clearly that whoever have guns in Afghanistan control the aid in Afghanistan. And also he indicated clearly that it is the way that the Taliban got access to these aids somehow support terrorism in Afghanistan. So I know you before said that there was some intervention from the Taliban in terms of the aid that the U.S. sent for Afghan people. But what John Sopko explained at Congress is way more beyond that what you said. So before.
A few things. Number one, the U.S. government has robust oversight measures in place to monitor the implementation of U.S.-funded humanitarian assistance around the world, which we provide to help save the most vulnerable of lives. In cases where the Taliban makes demands of our partners beyond routine operational costs, our partners pause or adjust their operations accordingly. We work with trusted international partners who have extensive experience working in the challenging environments like Afghanistan, where we have no presence. And we continually assess our activities to ensure both our assistance is reaching those for which it is intended and that our partners have appropriate mitigation measures in place to help safeguard against diversion. And if we need to take steps to change how we're delivering our aid, we of course will always do so. Go ahead.
Matthew, good afternoon. Simply, what's the latest on the efforts to get the hostages freed?
It continues to be a top priority. You heard this president speak about this a little bit yesterday. The secretary has been engaged in it. Other members of the administration at the senior most levels have been engaged in it. But it is just not a topic we find productive to talk about publicly in terms of details.
You're hearing fluctuating numbers, 239, 240. Do you have a precise number? No. How confident are you right now, as we speak here, as we sit here, that they're all alive?
I'm just not able to offer any assessments about the conditions of the hostages. Our focus is on working to try to get them home.
Okay, one more, please. Catholic Relief Services has staff on the ground in Gaza helping people. And they just told us the other day that even if more humanitarian assistance comes into Gaza, it's impossible to distribute it without a cessation of violence, in their words, a cessation of violence. What is your... What's the State Department? Do you agree with that assessment?
That goes to the exact point we've been making, which is that there need to be expanded humanitarian pauses to allow, among other things, to allow the delivery of humanitarian assistance to the people that need it most.
And finally, if I may, we'll go to Africa, Sudan.
I thought you said that was the last one.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. One more.
I misspeak too sometimes.
Fair.
There we go.
Fair.
Just a simple one. Pope Francis tweeted the other day, quote, "May we not forget Sudan, which suffers greatly." Is the world forgetting Sudan?
I hope not. We certainly haven't forgotten about it here. You may know that we just recently launched renewed talks with respect to Sudan and continue to push for the parties there to refrain from hostilities. We've had diplomatic personnel on the ground engaged in those diplomatic efforts. It continues to be a tragedy that we, just because there's not, there's always it's a big world, a lot of things going on at one time, just because the focus, the international focus sometimes is lost on one country or the other. A big State Department, and there are a number of people still actively focused on trying to resolve the conflict in Sudan, which remains a very, very difficult situation. Go there, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. Changing to APEC. During this APEC Leaders Week, the IPEF partner nations had a chance to meet and conduct negotiations. They were able to make major milestones on pillars 2, 3, and 4. but did not conclude negotiations on Pillar 1 for fair and resilient trade. Do you have a comment on the meetings and outcomes?
I don't. It's something that we continue to work on, and we'll have a full readout at the conclusion of APEC. And with that, we'll wrap for today. Yeah.
Can you send Saeed your
Yeah. You want him to?
your articles? No,
Sure.
I would like you to send at the same time to me at least, and anyone else who wants it, the findings of your exhaustive, I'm sure, canvassing of Texas hospitals that proves that there are no weapons,
I will.
assault rifles or others,
I will.
living there. Because as far as I know, there are armed guards at most hospitals in the United States, and I presume that Texas, being its Second Amendment haven,